I'm your host, Wolfman Dan, and welcome to my little stupid show, the one I call The Witching Hour. And here in a few seconds, when I get set up, we're going to bring it in with my man, Pat McCormick, rocking in the theme to help me get the camera set at the right spot. So here we go. My flock showed up. I'm happy. I'm really happy when you showed up. Made me feel good. All warm inside. I know I'm amazed you're still up, Sarah. I really am. No, I'm amazed I'm still up. I started drinking way too early tonight, guys. And 99's in a special place. If I stay too long, I might break down and cry. I'm so far behind. Oh my God. Greetings, YouTube, and welcome to the Witching Hour. I'm your incredibly cool host, Wolfman Dan. Want to welcome everybody like nada nada, and my flock is everywhere, to the chat. Be sure to chat it up. The more you participate and the more comments you leave, the better it is for my crappy little channel. Yeah, it's true. We're going to play one more opening song from my man Pat McCormick. And then I might play you a Bigfoot song, and in a little bit we're going to watch a real classic, the original In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy. It's a real short little episode, about 27 minutes long. And then I'm going to just spend the rest of the night till the power dies, playing videos from the Bigfoot community. So all you guys with channels, be sure to drop your link in the chat. Wow, is it too loud? How about now? And that's Pat McCormick bringing us our news music for the Witching Hour. I hope you enjoyed them tunes. Hey, I'm going to jump right into a feature presentation tonight. And it's one you might have seen before, but it's really worth reviewing if you're into the Bigfoot stuff. We're going to check out In Search of with Leonard Nimoy from the 1970s here on the Witching Hour. You know, I played this on my other show, 13 O'Clock Live, before, but I had never played it here because this is a new show. So we're going to check that out for about 26 minutes, and then I'm going to play videos from the Bigfoot community. You know, all the people we follow on our channels,
A giant hairy creature, part ape, part man. Indians call him Sasquatch. They believe he is as gentle as he is powerful and mysterious. He's been seen many times in the rugged mountains and deep woods of the Pacific Northwest. The encounters have not always been peaceful. In 1924, a small group of men were working a mine in a canyon near Mount St. Helens in Washington. One night, the miners took their weapons inside and bolted the door. They thought they were secure for the evening. Outside, something strange was happening. The cabin was under attack. Boulders rained on the roof, and someone, or something, was trying to break in. The miners later described their attackers as large, hairy apes. The siege lasted several hours. Escaped injury that night. The area now known as Ape Canyon is one of the many places in the Northwest where man continues his hunt for this elusive creature we call Bigfoot.
Information based in part on theory and conjecture. The producer's purpose is to suggest some possible explanations, but not necessarily the only ones, to the mysteries we will examine.
To the Indians living along the Columbia River in Oregon and Washington, or those in Canada, there is no need for proof of Bigfoot. Sasquatch has been a part of Indian lore as long as they've inhabited this land. Some anthropologists believe that the creature could have come to the northwestern part of the United States along with the Indians, across a land bridge that once connected Siberia to Alaska. The newcomers to this country have seen Bigfoot in an area ranging from northern California to southwest British Columbia. To the Indian, Bigfoot carries a mystical significance. Sometimes it's difficult to tell where myth ends and reality begins. In our modern world of concrete and steel, we're far removed from the Indian lore of Bigfoot. It's hard to imagine any corner of our crowded world where a giant, man-like creature could roam free. Yet there's persuasive evidence that Bigfoot is real, and that urban man may be close to his first meeting with this living legend. It is felt by some scientists that Bigfoot falls somewhere in this progressive chart of man, a giant hominid related to but not like modern man. According to this theory, Bigfoot would have pursued a course of evolution separate but parallel to his human cousins. Dr. Grover Krantz is an anthropologist at Washington State University.
Its locomotion is the human design, so we know it's probably our closest living relative. But in terms of anything mental characteristics, no, it's not human. So it is a mixture of ape and human characteristics, and if you want to call that a missing link, that's fine. Now, this is a cast of a jawbone of something that I think is actually the Sasquatch. This is a jaw that's anatomically in between human and ape in its teeth, but it's much larger than any living ape, much larger than a gorilla, for instance. These are known from fossils about 1 million years old in China, and it has been named Gigantopithecus, and it has approximately the characteristics that our Sasquatch has. So I'm inclined to think that this species just simply is continuing today.
The most convincing visual evidence of Bigfoot is a film taken by Roger Patterson in Northern California. Dr. Krantz believes it to be authentic.
I've examined the film many times, watching it forward, backwards, stop frame, measured, and everything. And all of the anatomy of the creature is perfectly consistent. It just simply does not fit with a man wearing a suit. In fact, a suit of that size, we can establish exactly how big it is. There's no way a man could fit into it. The shoulders and chest are simply too wide. The feet are properly designed for carrying that kind of body weight, and that doesn't make any sense unless you've got a body of that size. And Patterson could not have faked any of this stuff. I talked to him about some of the things I saw, and he didn't even understand what I was talking about.
Reports of Bigfoot sightings in the Northwest go all the way back to 1811. There have been some in other parts of the United States, but most have come in the area from Northern California to British Columbia. In 1882, a British Columbia newspaper published the story of railroad workers who saw and captured a creature they called Jacko. No one seems to know what happened to that creature, but the hunt for others has brought headlines all across the United States. There have been an estimated 2,000 reported sightings of Bigfoot. Half of those are considered fakes. The other half are very real, especially to those who live in this rugged country and who've seen with their very own eyes, seen something strange and sometimes frightening.
I'd been down to my folks's, and Cindy was with me, and we decided that time to go home, and so we left.
Lewis Alway and his daughter Cindy of Stevenson, Washington, returning home one night from visiting his parents, came across something they'd never seen before.
It was about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and Cindy was sleeping on the floor, on the seat. I come around the corner there, and there it was. It looked to me like he had just come over the top of the guardrail there. I woke her up and she got to see it just before it ran to brush, and at first I thought it was a bear, but when it took off across the road on its hind legs, I just couldn't believe it. Now, I hunt and I fish and I see a lot of game all the time, and it looked like something that I'd never saw before.
3 or 4 years ago, we received a call in the late part of the fall. The people who own this cabin back here said they'd found some tracks of what they thought was a large animal. And we came out and investigated that. Back here by the tree, we found several tracks that were real large, way larger than a human.
Way larger.
I sure wonder about it.
Sheriff William Klausner of Skamania County in Washington has investigated tracks and talked with eyewitnesses. He's seen too much to be totally skeptical.
The most unique thing about what we've learned from this is that the people who have either written or called, who've experienced the same kind of thing or had seen tracks, mention of a strong sulfur smell, and that's real unusual.
As Sheriff Klausner says, the smell description is not unusual. James Strahan and Harold Teskey recently saw something on the roadside near Colton, Oregon.
And there was a big, huge object on the left of the road, and I rolled the window down in the car, and this thing was approximately 3.5, 4 feet wide, about 6, 7 foot tall. And the odor of this animal, after I rolled the window down, was so offensive that I couldn't remain there any longer. And I was scared too. I've been around the mountains, around animals a lot, and this thing truly scared me. And so I got out of there and rolled the windows up in the car and went on home. And the odor of that animal stayed in that car until the next morning. It was still in there.
1 mile outside the Dalles, Oregon, several members of the Bigfoot Investigation Project and Information Center climbed to an observation point. led by Peter Byrne, 50-year-old adventurer and former big game hunter in Nepal. Byrne has dropped his rifle in favor of camera and binoculars. For 5 years, he's headed the Bigfoot investigation project and stalked these north woods, checking out every story and every set of tracks. His prey is elusive.
We will talk to the person who says that they've seen one. We will talk to their family, perhaps to their employers or employees. We'll talk to the local police to see if they know them, to find out if the person is simply a joker, a hoaxer of some kind, or if they're a person of reputation and of known integrity. And then we'll go and see the person, we'll interview them, and of course we'll try and get to the place of the actual sighting as quickly as possible.
One of the most credible sightings took place near Mount Hood, Oregon in 1974. Two loggers, Jack Cochran and Furman Osborne, were working in an area of fallen timber. Cochran explains what he saw.
I looked off towards the woods, and I saw these two long legs moving at the edge of the timber. And as this thing walked, it walked with a glide, and then it reached an arm out and kind of touched the tree as it walked by. And I saw these wide shoulders, and then it just moved off down the hill. J.C. Rourke and I were up on that little hill there and setting chokers, and the cat came down to the line and he didn't come back, so we decided to walk out in the woods under the timber so we could be in the shade, and we heard this commotion there in the brush, and we saw this big monster going out through there. I yelled for my buddy. I wanted him to see him, and I started running. I wanted to get a closer look at him, and we chased him over the ridge there, and at one time I was within 50 feet of him.
Whatever Osborne chased through the woods left him far behind. Cochran, an amateur artist, tried to sketch what he saw.
He was tall, long-legged, and hairy, very broad shoulders, and his head seemed to just spring up out of his shoulders, no neck. The arms were long, and more in proportion than a human.
There is persuasive evidence that men may be closing in on Bigfoot. What will the hunters do if they find him?
And we'll just smooth it out a little bit, make sure it runs into all cracks and corners, and that's really all there is to it.
Peter Byrne, professional Bigfoot investigator.
Before doing this, and now
Hundreds of unexplained footprints have been found in these woods. They receive close examination by the experts.
This is a plaster cast of an actual footprint here, and it's a 13.5-inch cast, and it has a number of peculiarities. One is the normal bulge behind the big toe, the hallux, and then there's a second bulge, and this is peculiar to all of the footprints that we have seen. Nobody really knows what causes this second bulge. Perhaps it's a muscle of some kind to support the enormous weight.
This is a cast of an individual that's very obviously crippled. And I studied this some length and found these two bulges on the outside of the foot. Anatomically, they have to correspond to a couple of gaps in the bones on the foot themselves. And the bulges in a normal human foot expanded to this size would have been here, but they're shifted forward. Well, anatomically, this means that the ankle weight is shifted somewhat forward. It's not just a gigantic human foot. It's the leverage has been redesigned. And this happens to be redesigned just exactly the way it would have to be for a 800-pound animal. So if the idea of that this was faked by somebody isn't quite so simple. If it was faked, it was done by a human anatomist who was a real genius, and he had to have laid out thousands of these fakes all over the place, and that just simply becomes impossible.
Among the fakery that we have seen is a piece of film made in 1970 by a man in northern Washington. At first it looked very good. It was a man in a fursuit, of course. The particular man tried to sell it to us for $25,000, and he told us that the creature in this movie was 8 foot 6 inches in height. But when we found the area, we were able to do our own measurements, and we saw that the creature in the fursuit, or the man in the fursuit, was a little under 6 feet in height. This is, I think, is a good example of the kind of fakery that we have encountered through the years.
Throughout the Northwest, there are hundreds of men hunting for Bigfoot. Don Peterson, Jack Sullivan, and James Huskin have searched for several years. They believe the hunt will end with a bullet.
Well, I think eventually somebody's going to bring one in. It's the only way. Pictures aren't going to be enough because there's been film taken of one of these creatures anyway, and it's in dispute.
Like Jim said, if we take a bunch of pictures, they're going to be under dispute. And if you can shoot one animal, you might be able to save the rest of them from everybody else from shooting them too.
And that sets up a conflict among Bigfoot hunters. Does it have to be killed to prove it exists? Through the centuries, the mighty Columbia River separating Washington and Oregon has cut a deep gorge on its way to the Pacific Ocean. It is a big, rugged, beautiful land where man holds a deep respect for nature. In Stevenson, Washington, they passed an ordinance setting a $10,000 fine or 5 years in jail for killing a Bigfoot. The people living in this country have a special relationship to the woods. They depend on the land for their survival. They may not totally believe in Bigfoot, but they believe in the possibility. And they don't want it killed, at least not in their county. District Attorney Robert Leake.
We didn't feel that if there was such an animal, that the animal had ever harmed anybody, or that it had done anything to deserve to be shot or captured.
We need a piece of the body. Nothing else will be accepted.
I think that there are many other ways of proving an existence of something other than killing that particular thing that you're trying to prove exists.
My preference would be to locate a hunter who has shot and killed one, and perhaps because he thought he killed a valuable animal or a peculiar human, he might not have said anything about it. But if he would come forward, perhaps we could examine the place where he killed it, and we might find a few bones, and then the whole thing is settled right there. If we don't find such an old kill, then the only alternative remaining is to kill one now. And grisly as that sounds, I think that is probably what we'll have to do.
I would strongly urge the doctor to reconsider that, especially if he thinks he's going to do it in this county, because we would enforce the ordinance.
Why add more controversy to something that's already controversial? What we have to have is a specimen for scientific identification.
I think it would be morally wrong. I see no reason. In fact, I talked to a small boy, a schoolboy recently, and he said some people say shoot one to prove that they're there. And then he said, supposing the one they shoot is the last one.
Well, my answer to that is if they become extinct, so what? If they're not proven, it doesn't make any difference.
He's an asshole.
We have a lot of animals that became extinct in the past, and there's nothing we can do about it. And if this animal remains unaccepted, who cares if it becomes extinct?
They're obviously rare. There are not very many of them. And as we see them, they could be a hominid form. It could be a man. To shoot one would be totally wrong. And we are totally opposed to this philosophy.
While men ponder the dilemma, to kill or not to kill, many Indians wonder why this preoccupation with proving Bigfoot exists. To the Indian, there is no doubt. Many, like Mrs. Joe Washington, see the hunt for Bigfoot just another intrusion into their sacred past.
You'll never be able to, you might say, civilize them like the white men done to us.
Oh, shit.
He's somebody that belongs in the area that he chooses to live in. And if someone did bring him down, he'd never adapt to your way or even mine, because his way of life is entirely different from ours, mine and yours. And I always felt so bad when I hear of Sasquatch hunters that say they're going to photograph this man, or most of them refer to him as an animal. And from the stories and things that I was taught by my people, that he is not an animal, he's not a savage, he's a gentle being that just goes about his own way, collecting his own food, clothing, and lives where he chooses.
Greetings, new people.
Man, with his ingenuity and machinery, continues to stalk this creature. A creature described by the Indians as a gentle being, wanting to live in peace in his own habitat. A creature some scientists believe is a link to centuries long past.
The gorilla is mentioned in Greek mythology going back hundreds and hundreds of years, and yet it was not discovered until the late 18th century. And the subspecies, the mountain gorilla, was not identified until early 1900. And there are other examples. The fossil fish that was discovered in the Indian Ocean only a few years ago, believed to be extinct for 80 million years. This is the coelacanth, and now it's known to still live off the coast of Africa.
Is that the case with Bigfoot? Is this creature really a relative of the Gigantopithecus, a primate that lived over 1 million years ago in China? The land lends itself to hide such a creature. There is food for it to survive. It does not need man. But it may have to die at the hands of man to prove to him that there is such a thing called Bigfoot. If we assume that Bigfoot is real, and that men are closing in on this seemingly gentle monster, then we must prepare for that first meeting. To have eluded us for so long, Bigfoot must understand men very well. The burden will be on us to understand him. Bigfoot may well be waiting for some sign that we're ready.
I hope you enjoyed our feature presentation. That was the original episode of In Search Of, featuring one of my favorite stars of all time, Leonard Nimoy, because you know, I am a big Star Trek guy. That's true. I love the Star Trek stuff. Hey, and now I'm going to play you a couple of really cool Bigfoot songs that you've probably never heard before. And stick around. Right after that, I'm going to show some videos from our friends in the Bigfoot community. And I'll probably even show a story by our cool guy, resident storyteller, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, who always tells the cool stories. Right, guys? And here is Lenny Green. With something you've never seen.
I watch a blazing sunrise paint the morning skies with shades of flame. Above a quiet wilderness, man has somehow never tried to tame. The moment seems suspended in a land where there's no need for time or clocks. It's yesterday again to the boy who used to walk where Bigfoot walks. So many years have passed, I still can't believe it looks the same. As though it's been protected by a memory that kept it all unchanged. Tonight they'll sing my welcome, the spotted owl, the coyote, and the fox. They'll know that I've come back again to walk where Bigfoot walks. As a boy I knew these wild lands as well as any man. This was like my playground. as I faced the giant, I came to understand he'd go his way if only I went mine. They say you can't go home again, but going home is really in your mind. And I think it all depends on what it is back home you're hoping you can find. For me it's being free again, where there's no doors of steel and there's no locks. Free to be that boy again, the one who used to walk where Bigfoot walks. Someday this peaceful valley may have to give way to the march of man. And just become a memory to all of those who really love this land. But here today my soul soars among the eagles and the hawks. Today I'm going back again to walk where Bigfoot walks. And it just may be he'll know me as the boy who used to walk where Bigfoot walks.
What you think about that song? Let me know in the comments below. I love a live stream. I love a live stream where I can jam some tunes, because Daily Dan, the Wolfman Dan, was meant to be a radio DJ. I was meant to play songs for people. That's my true calling in life, so I enjoy this more than I enjoy anything else on earth. Is playing songs for you guys. And it's even better when I can play you a little video to go with it, to keep your little minds occupied.
Ever felt you had to get away? Leave the city far behind. Like maybe if you didn't leave today, you might even lose your mind. Well, that's how I've been feeling all along. Can't tell you why I've stayed around. You may think I've waited far too long.
That's right, Daddy Dan. The Wolfman Dan is bringing you songs you probably never heard tonight. Wow. And now I'm going to do what's called a lead in. That's where I play a song that's going to lead in to some other shit that I'm going to do next. Hey, I planned that out when I was sober. I really did. Hey, check this out. It's called The Skunk Ape. And it's actually a lead in to something else I'll be doing next. That's so cool.
Something's out there in the Everglades where the snakes and the gators thrive. Toughest creature that was ever made, and that's why he's still alive. You can speculate on what he is or where he came from, I suppose. Only thing you can be sure of is no one knows where the skunk ape goes. Got a smell you'll remember, like a skunk some folks might say. So even if you never see him, you might know if he was by that way. Somewhere out there in the sawgrass, where the bay and cypress grow, he's got a home no one will ever find, 'cause no one knows where the skunk ape goes. No one can track him in the day. You'd never find him in the night. That creature seen from the highway could be 50 miles away by morning light. Is he a cousin to the Bigfoot, with kinfolk all across this land, or something else entirely different? We only know it's not a man. There's no man that could survive the kind of life this creature chose, and we may never have the answer, 'cause no one knows where the skunk ape goes. Sun goes down across the Everglades, its secrets safely hid within, like what became of those from yesterday who ventured there to not be seen again. Within the mysteries of the Everglades, some answers never are disclosed. No need to even ask the question, 'cause no one knows where the skunk ape goes. Nobody knows where the skunk ape goes.
I hope you enjoyed that little tune as I'm bringing you some Bigfoot music that you never heard here on The Witching Hour. I'm your host, Wolfman Dan. Hey, my real name's Danny Staten, and today I was on, guess what? Paranormal Highway. If you're in the chat, you already knew that. And I wouldn't be me if I didn't do shameless self promotion like my wrestling colleague, Shawn Michaels. And shameless self promotion means if you're on a show, you got to show a clip from it, right, guys? So I'm going to show you a few minutes of my appearance today on the Paranormal Highway with my main man, Eric. And be sure to check out Paranormal Highway. I put that link in the chat. And even though he's not here right now, he probably will be later on.
But this print was just.
There you go. And that little shot is actually in one of his videos here.
I'm trying to find a good place to start.
I don't know if that's.
And he was doing a show today where he had the Yeti thing
I seen a video from somewhere in Siberia or Russia where these kids are
versus
they
the
find some tracks and the kids
Florida
follow the
Swamp
tracks
Ape.
say
And
something off
that
the
kind of explains that song I just led in with, right? So check out my appearance today
Bigfoot scream.
on the Paranormal Highway
2 minutes straight.
while I mix me a
Echoing
big
from
old
the
fat
valley
drink.
to valley, mountains ridge to the mountain ridge. Okay, so let me ask you this now.
Me and all my radiant glory.
Is the Yeti only related to the Himalayas? It can't. Is the clan of the Yeti in different places than just being in the Himalayas?
I would think all the way to the Ural Mountains of Siberia and Russia, that whole area over there would have something similar to a Yeti or a. You see, that's just it. I think Yeti, Bigfoot, all these creatures are on the same family tree. They might not be exact. They might be the difference between me and a Japanese man is the difference between a Yeti and a Bigfoot. You know, they're the same species. They're the same creature. They just are different races of the same species. You know, like you take it that you're a white dude from Washington, right?
Yep.
Well, there's a black dude from Texas, or a Mexican from Mexico, or a Japanese man from Japan, or a China man from China. You know,
Yep.
Chinese, and you got these different races of people. Well, Bigfoot has a family tree just like ours, and these different variations are different races of the same creature.
And I agree with you.
I thought, you know, that's why a Yeti looks different than a Bigfoot versus a swamp ape versus that thing that lives in the Vietnam jungle that really is a wild man, you know.
Yeah.
But they're all still basically of the same family.
The Sierra National Park.
In my humble opinion.
Well, Renee Cruz, you're saying that Sierra National Park is Sasquatch turf. Well, in the Sierra Mountains, that's where we saw our Bigfoot. So, Renee, you're probably right. I think you're right. I mean, if you live in a certain continent for hundreds, thousands of years, you know, your body kind of not mutate, but you become part. You know, like if you live in a colder continent, your blood is a little thicker, where you can take that cold easier than if you go from Alaska to Arizona. You kind of adapt to the area that you're in. I mean, that's just nature. That's natural. I mean, I remember when I first moved from Fresno to Washington, it was like 60 degrees, and I was wearing jackets because I was fucking cold, and everybody in Washington was wearing shorts. Because you get, you know what I mean? You get used to your environment. Now, of course, I wear shorts, and when I go back to Fresno, when it's like 110 degrees, man, I can't take it like I once did as a kid.
I know. I'm from the South. You know, South Carolina. We have that temperate environment. It don't never get too hot, and it don't never get too cold most of the time. Once in a while in the summer, we get a few hot, humid days, and once in a while in the winter, we get 4 or 5 days where it's really chilly. You know, like 12 or 13 degrees. But when I left here and I went to Alaska and was up there for 6 months, I froze my fat ass off. I did. It was cold all the time. It's supposed to be summer, and it's 30 degrees.
All right. Well, people, so far, after 25 votes, the Yeti is winning 52% to 48%. So right now, the Yeti's got the upper hand.
That's got the skunk ape.
But we haven't talked about the skunk ape, and I'm gonna have Danny hold off on who he's gonna pick for his bigger story after we look at videos. Now we're gonna look on the skunk ape side. Now, for the record, people, there's not a whole lot of video that I could use for skunk ape. There's more for Yeti versus skunk ape. So I don't have like great stuff because a lot of the great stuff are 50 minutes, and I'm not gonna play a 50-minute video on my show.
You could use a lot of Connor stuff, Bigfoot and I.
You know what?
Because he has quite a bit of skunk ape stuff.
He does. He just came out with a video just a day ago.
I watched
standing in that, and that little shop is actually in one of his videos here. Let's check out the first one.
Ape is said to be a large, hairy creature that lives in the swamps of Florida. It's been described as being similar to Bigfoot, but with a distinctive odor. There have been many reported sightings of the skunk ape over the years, but no one has ever been able to provide any concrete evidence of its existence. One of the most famous skunk ape stories is from the 1960s. A group of Boy Scouts were camping in the Okefenokee swamp when they claimed to see a large, hairy creature walking through the woods. They said that the creature had a strong odor, like a skunk. Another famous skunk ape sighting happened in 2000. A man was driving home from work when he saw a large creature standing in the middle of the road. The creature was about 10 feet tall and had long, dark hair. The man said that the creature had a strong odor like a skunk. Some people believe that the skunk ape is a real creature, while others believe that it's just a myth. So what do you think? Do you believe in the skunk ape? Let me know in the comments.
Okay. Now, first of all, would it be safe to say, Danny, that, you know, a skunk ape is a Bigfoot? But, you know, saying he smelled like a skunk, I mean, the Florida is swampland. I mean, if you're a Bigfoot hanging out in the swampland, aren't you, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not an expert, but wouldn't a Bigfoot naturally start smelling like a skunk if you start living in the swamplands, in your opinion?
Basically, take note now on a lot of sighting reports from around the whole United States. A foul smell is reported with the creature. The legend of the Boggy Creek Monster, foul smell. Momo in Missouri has a foul smell. There's a couple of cryptid sightings in Arkansas that have a really foul smell. And the one in Kentucky is supposed to smell so bad it makes your eyes water. So there is a whole pattern of strange smells associated with these creatures.
I have to ask, the Hacker Tomorrow, Bigfoot really has to be real. Now, Hacker Tomorrow, are you saying that Bigfoot has to be real for a skunk ape to be real? Because
I'm assuming the Hacker Tomorrow is a guy named Mox that I know.
Okay, because I'm
you, right, Mox?
Yeah, because when I think of a skunk ape, I'm just thinking of another clan of a Bigfoot. You know, just like living in different states. They live in the swamplands and they start like. I think, Denny, you're right. I think all technically Bigfoot up close is going to have a smell to it. But if you're always in the swamps, in the swamp waters and stuff, you're probably going to smell like wet dog more than the average Bigfoot somewhere else in some other states.
We should ask Long Island Bigfoot Mike if his Bigfoot that he always encounters smells like poop.
You know, that's a good question.
You know, because New York, I suppose that might be the worst smelling one of the bunch.
Because guys, when my family had the Bigfoot encounter, not one person ever mentioned they smell a certain thing. You know, I think we're more memorized on seeing the thing, and then so.
I've actually encountered a few times where I've smelled what smelled like raw sewage. But I've had a lot of encounter things happen, a lot of weird stuff where I didn't smell nothing. But they have been, and I can think of 4 or 5 different occasions where there was an overpowering, horrible stench involved in what was going on.
See, Freaky Geek Girl, I had a dog that loved running in the bog. It did not smell like a skunk, but still had a bad odor. I get what you're saying. Deer in Headlights was writing, they say aliens dump creatures from another planet on Australia. I mean, yeah, there's different theories. I mean, that's a whole other theory. Bigfoot was brought here from another planet. I mean, you know, that's actually a whole other show. I mean, that's like another conspiracy show that I'm not saying, I hate using the word conspiracy, because once you use the word conspiracy, it makes it sound like we're talking fake stuff. We believe in this stuff. But there's a whole nother world, a show you could do about Bigfoot's coming from space, portals. This is basically just the differences between a skunk ape and a Yeti kind of stuff. So now this next video claims they have evidence that a skunk ape is real through a footprint. And I'm glad Danny's here because Danny is known to go out and when you research Danny, you do look for footprints.
I actually found one about a week ago. And I saw
you
a
did.
video on my YouTube channel.
You did.
But it was one of these Yeti tracks because it wasn't about 9 inches long. But here's what got me is I put my foot right beside it, right? And I barely could leave a print. But this little 9 foot print sitting on kind of hard ground was 1.5 inches deep. Whatever made that had to weigh more than me, and I hit 270. It had to be twice what I weigh to make
that
an
makes good sense
in the ground like that.
That's pretty good. That's good research right there. Recognizing how hard the ground is.
Well,
how hard would it take?
I put beside it for scale, and when it did, I barely did sink it. I was like, "Whoa, man! I didn't even make a dent."
So let's take a look at
a little bit of dirt moved when I stood, but this print was just god awful deep.
Yep.
We've just discovered evidence of the Florida skunk ape. Big heel pad, big toe, second, third,
2 right feet,
fourth, fifth toe, 2 right foot imprints in the mud with what appears to be a raccoon or possum print next to it. Small little critter like a squirrel perhaps here. This is crazy.
So Pat, you think the foot he's looking at, because of the shape of the fingers that you're seeing here, you think that can be not just a skunk ape, a Bigfoot alone footprint?
It's compelling. It's very interesting tracks. So what really strikes me on it, and this is the good part, is he probably didn't just stamp it in the ground with a stamper and say, "Hey, look, I found a track," because it's been there for a while, obviously, because other animals have walked over it. And that would tend to mean that track's 12 hours, 13, 14 hours old.
And earlier in the show, guys, Danny talked about our good friend Bigfoot Anon, which I did have one of his videos of him in a cave finding a footprint where he thinks it could be a skunk ape. Just like you're talking about, his channel has a lot of good stuff. So let's check out this video.
I watch everything he puts out.
Yep.
Hey guys, it's Connor from Bigfoot Anonymous. We're deep underground after miles of hiking through briars and prickers, over railroads and under bridges. It's been a crazy day, but it's all been worth it because we just had a discovery. We just found this 5-foot print deep in the cave, and you can clearly see the footprints.
Now, guys, remember, he's in a cave, so the interference sound you're hearing is not from StreamYard. It's because he's in a cave. But if you look what he's pointing at, you can see, like, the fingers of a toe and the length of the foot.
All this video sounds so good, and the one you picked to put on the show today is the only video he's got with crappy sound, Eric.
Hey, that's because I want to show the raw video, the rawness, no change, no nothing. This is no cleanup of the videotape, the raw.
It is incredible. My mind is blown. There is no possibility of any human beings making that march barefoot. So now we really have to keep our head on a swivel because we are not the only 2-legged creature down here. And the chances are they've been listening to us this whole time.
I would agree with him right there. Listen, you're in this cave, and you found this kind of a footprint, and it looked fresh. Yes, how I won the lottery, raw and uncut. That's what I like. That would be a little scary because you don't know whatever made this thing, even if you think it's a human, can still be down there looking at you.
Did that footprint have what looked like claws coming off of it?
Yeah, if you look at it, Hold on, I think he shows it again.
Yeah. I just want to thank them for not allowing us to intrude.
He's thanking them.
It's twisted right
That
now.
is
because
so
my
smart.
mind is blown. It is taking this to still working today.
Same print. Almost identical.
And what? Hey, hold on, Danny, show that again. I want to make it bigger.
You won't be able to dig that back out. It took me 5 minutes to find it a while ago.
I screwed it up. But guys, what Connor did was very smart and very intelligent. What a lot of paranormal investigators do when they find something, if they think there's something there, you tell them, "Thank you for showing it to me. Thank you for letting me see it." Be kind, because if you're a believer in the Bigfoot, which I am, I believe they can sense you on what kind of person you are. They can sense if you're a person that threatens danger. Hold on, I think he found it. That is close.
Yeah, very similar. I noticed that before, but they say it in the book that it's more reminiscent of what a handprint would look like, a claw handprint. And also I want to point out the fact that just saying, I'm not saying it's not a Bigfoot, I'm not saying it's not a swamp ape. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that everything I've ever read when it comes to Bigfoots, Yetis, skunk apes, anything like that, they've always had hands like ours, right?
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is they don't got the long fingernails, they've got short fingernails just like me. Somehow they groom themselves, they keep their nails short. There's no reports of Bigfoot with long claws, like a werewolf. No, Bigfoot got the same kind of hands I got.
Like a werewolf.
And the same kind of feet we got, because when you look at the big footprints, there's no big curled up toenail claws hanging off of them. So when I look at that picture, I see the claws coming off of it. And as far as every report of Bigfoot or skunk ape or Sasquatch reports, that shouldn't be there. And that leads me to think right off the rip, as an investigator, I'm looking at something to do with a bear. That's my first thought on that.
Sure. I mean,
but let me point out that one of the marks that Jeff Meldrum said was Bigfoot getting down, digging, or with using his hand, looked like that. So, just
I agree. You have
to go away on that one.
You have to be skeptic on it. You have to look at things like a bear in a mud sliding and stuff.
There's this chick named Nikki and this guy named Joe. And before I met them, I wasn't so freaking skeptical. But after spending a couple of years with these guys, now I question everything and look twice. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Nikki.
Yeah, you got to question. You have to question everything.
And you can check Nikki out on Sasquatch Secrets.
And you know what you see, you do record it, you do look at it, and hey, if it's a bear, then it's a bear. Still good. It's a good find. You're finding footprints in the ground. It's not all going to be Bigfoot and stuff. It could be from bears and stuff. Now, I would hate to be in a cave with a bear. I tell you that. I'm beginning out. Now, this is the last video. This is only 36 seconds. This is
Nikki's watching, by the way. Sasquatch Secrets in the chat. And Nikki, it's your fault.
And that could be a bear.
You see, it's your fault, Nikki. I come up with stuff like that now. Because, 2 years ago, I've been like, yeah, that's a Bigfoot track. That's absolute evidence. Yes, sir, Ray Bob. No, it ain't like that no more. Thank you, Nikki.
Hey, I always said the pictures you see, you think it's not, it is. And the ones you think it is, it's not. At the end of the day, you don't know. Unless you see with your own eyes.
Rest assured, if I make a video, I don't care if it's a freaking squirrel, I'm going to put Bigfoot on it. Blah.
This is the last video for the skunk ape.
Beautiful beaches and great nightlife. But in the Everglades, the elusive and mysterious skunk ape is the big attraction. Have you heard of this? The skunk ape research headquarters is located on Tamiami Trail.
Tamiami Trail.
Thank you, Elliot. It's just past the United States' smallest post office. And CBS 4 photojournalist Mitch Cuba will take you there. You can go check out his now viral story.
You know, I've seen a lot of people show that video, and I'm going to be honest, every time I look at that, it looks like a human to me, just walking with arms. That does not look like anything close to a Bigfoot skunk ape, but that's me. What do you know about that shot there? Is that real or fake?
You know, I've always been under the impression that that's really a creature in these videos. I've seen the long cut where it runs all the way through the swamp. And I've always thought it looked really realistic, like something, like not a person, but some kind of creature.
That's what's so awesome that we do these shows. I think it's more human-like, and you're thinking it's a little bit more creature than human. It just tells you that we all don't look at certain things the same.
Well, it's also, you ever been down there in them Everglades in them swamps?
No, I've never been to Florida.
You see, where that thing's running through the swamp, that's swamp grass. It grows in the water. Whatever is running through that swamp is running and making it through that swamp in 5-foot grass in 3.5, 4 foot of water with snakes and gators and all that horrible stuff. And it's just trotting through there.
And you know,
ain't no people going to be out there doing that, bud.
And that's a good point.
I've been there. I've been in swamps. I know how it goes.
See, Danny, you made a good point. I'm not there. I've never been there. So when I'm looking at it, all I know, the ground is hard. Yeah. I don't know if it's swampy, how hard it is to walk through there, because I'm not there.
In my younger days, I moved down to Florida for a while, and I lived in Jacksonville, and I lived in Miami, and I lived in Key West, and I spent about 6-7 months moving all around Florida. And let me tell you, Florida sucks. But it's swampy, it's mosquito infested. If you go out and do research like I do on your spare time, you find yourself cropping around these swamps with these wild boars. You know? And I tell you, the most dangerous thing I run into in Florida was the wild boars. The things, when they got the little piglets with you, they will run out, gore you, and attack you on the spot. And you better have a gun with you, you're going to get dead real quick. And the boars were more deadly than the alligators or anything else I come in contact with in Florida.
Now, Danny, you or anybody in the chat, even Sasquatch Secrets, is there any video of somebody videotaping a human, you know, as an experiment, walking across it to kind of show us what it would be like if a regular person walking? I'm just curious, has anybody made a video?
Actually, I think them fellows that make the BFRO show guys, you know, finding Bigfoot, I think when they went to Florida and actually investigated this film and all this stuff we're looking at today, I think Bobo went out there and tried to recreate it and sunk up to his ass in the swamp.
Yeah, I like to see that. That's what I like to see.
I really do remember that episode.
What else? Now, there's probably only 15 seconds left in this video. That's what they say.
Story on CBSMiami.com. We have it posted for you right there on our homepage. And I'm new to South Florida. Clearly, that's a place I need to go.
Are you not scared to go to the Everglades?
I don't know. That might.
But it's still cool that a news coverage got it. All right, now we're getting down to the second last part of the show. Now I'm going to look at the votes right now. So right now, 29 votes are in. 59% for the Yeti, 41% for skunk ape. Now, we know all Bigfoots are an important story. We all know that. But for this show, we got to pick one. It doesn't matter. So, Danny, if you had to pick one, you don't get to pick both. What would you say for you considered a bigger story? It could be for whatever reason it is for you. Is it the Yeti? Hold on. Wrong finger. Is it the Yeti or is it the skunk ape? Which one?
I would definitely go with the skunk ape based on the fact that there's a lot more visual evidence, a lot more verbal reports. Because Florida's a lot more inhabited than the Himalayan mountains, you get a lot more evidence, a lot more reports, and a lot more chance to investigate. So definitely skunk ape would win with me. I could leave my house and in 5-6 hours I can be in Florida investigating the skunk ape. If I leave my house and go investigate Yeti, it takes 15 hours just to get to Japan for my next flight.
And you know, almost down to the wire, down to the last thing that Danny said is almost exactly why I also pick the skunk ape. I just think there's a lot more modern day video shots, footprints, even though they could be bears or not. And if I really truly want to investigate the skunk ape versus the Yeti, which I would rather go to the Himalayas, I would love to take that trip. But reality is, it's easier to go to Florida to investigate the skunk ape. And you and I have a lot of friends who do live in Florida who has investigated the skunk ape and has not evidence, but a lot of stories and maybe some footprints for me to say, you know, there's just more here for me to chew on versus the Yeti.
Like I said, I got all into the skunk ape back in 1984, 85, and I spent 6 or 7 months in Florida, up and down the coast, up and down the swamps, doing the skunk ape thing, and I decided that if I was going to investigate something, I was going to investigate it somewhere where there was a lot less mosquitoes. That's right, where a lot less mosquitoes was. That's my appearance on the Paranormal Highway today, and I know it was self-indulgent. And I'm sorry, I apologize to YouTube. You know, I just had to show my appearance on the Paranormal Highway today. Wouldn't be me if I didn't. Right, guys? But now I'm going to play a couple of Bigfoot songs for you, and then we'll show something else from our Bigfoot community. And I've been digging hard trying to find stuff you've never heard before. I hope you really appreciate these tunes I'm throwing out for you today. Oh, this is cool. Let's give it a minute.
You came down from the mountain where the crystal waters flow. not be a Bigfoot name, but it's yours now to stay. And we can't help but wonder now and then, though it's been so long ago. Oh, if you're still with the living, or lie somewhere that only Bigfoots know. Where are you now, Patty? And are you with us still? The world you split into has not forgotten you. I doubt we ever will. Do you still go down to Bluff Creek, where the cowboys came that day? Where are you now, Patty? Where are you today? Do you still go down to Bluff Creek? Or do you only wish you could? Where are you now, Patty? Or are you gone for good?
That's right, I'm the Wolfman Dan, and I'm finding Bigfoot songs you never heard before. Hey, tell me, have you heard that one? Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed that Bigfoot tune. I bet that's one you never heard before. If you've ever heard that song, let me know in the comments below. But I'm betting you haven't heard that one. And here on 13 o'clock live, Wolfman Dan always tries to whoop out some songs that you've never heard before. And as a standard practice on all my channels, I like to have at least one really good Bigfoot story. One Bigfoot story that you'll remember. And when it comes to a Bigfoot story, I always call up my man,
Hello, everybody. It's me,
Bigfoot Michigan Rob.
Hello, everybody. It's me, Bigfoot Michigan Rob. It's Friday. Happy Good Friday to you for those that celebrate. This upcoming Sunday, happy Easter to you as well. This is a fantastic encounter story. Took place in Colorado in 2020. I'm going to get on with it. Please like, please share to Bigfoot Michigan Rob. If you care to donate, the super thanks is open. And if you missed yesterday's show, Brunch with Bigfoot Michigan Rob, Barry Brown, what a great show. What a great researcher. A lot of great stories. The first 30 minutes you get me talking about my time loss on Lake Erie, because Barry did have some technical issues to start. Nonetheless, Barry's coming back. I'm going to get on with this story. It's fantastic. I hope you enjoy. Please leave a comment, like, share, subscribe. Back during the Christmas season in 2020, my wife and family spent time at our family ranch style home outside of Estes Park in Colorado. We love the view of the mountains and the forest surrounding our 2,000 square foot home. It just feels like Christmas with the snow and the beautiful scenery. Typically, we spend November and December during winter and July and August during summer. We had purchased the ranch back in 2015 after successfully selling our family business in the home improvement market. Our main home is located outside of Denver. We loved owning both properties, one for relaxation, with the other keeping up with the typical hustle and bustle of the mainstream. We were fortunate enough to appreciate both lifestyles. In 2020, this was the first time since purchasing the Estes Park home that we did not arrive until the first week in December. Like I mentioned earlier, we normally spend November there as well, but my wife Brenda's mother became terminally ill, so we found it best to stay within a close proximity to Brenda's mom. My 23-year-old son Jake lived with us, and our daughter Ann, a few years older than Jake, was married and lived on the West Coast in Los Angeles with her husband Bob, who owns a thriving real estate business. In fact, it was Bob who found this beautiful gem at Estes Park through one of his real estate partners in Colorado. One of the best things about our home, it was private, yet we were friends with the three other homeowners on this section of land. To give you a better picture, there are 4 houses spread apart about a quarter mile in between parcels. The other 3 homeowners were living here prior to us, with differing time periods from 3 to maybe 4 years. So we were newer to this part of Colorado. We had privacy, and at the same time, during summer, it was a quick golf cart ride over to visit our neighbors, or in the winter, we could jump on our snow machine during the winter times. When we pulled up early that December, and after settling into our home, Jake and I went off to look for a Christmas tree. To cut it down in our beautiful forest with the mountains serving as a backdrop to our house. Surprisingly, for this time of year, there was perhaps a foot of snow covering the ground. We revved up our Yamaha snowmobile, connected our trailer to the sled for the tree, and we sped off. We reached the tree line, which was lined with great prospects for my son and I to choose from. Upon our approach, I noticed footprints or tracks paralleling the tree line. What was most unusual is these tracks were not of the usual animals that roam the forest. These appeared to be human-like. You could actually see toes. Now, some were covered with snow being blown about the tracks, and certainly some snow had melted. Several, however, were very distinctive with a variety of sizes. I had pulled out my measuring tape and recorded sizes of 23 inches long by 7 inches wide, by 19 inches long by 5 inches wide, and a smaller set that was only about 11 inches long by 4 inches wide. They were all in a straight pattern along the tree line, then turned back into the forest about 10 feet. Then the prints were gone. My son and I were excited about this finding, yet perplexed at the sudden vanishing of the tracks further into the woods. My son and I immediately started asking each other if these were Sasquatch prints. Jake and I loved and believed in Bigfoot. In fact, my brother, Steve, did Bigfoot research and was always telling us about his findings. So, we were very well informed on the subject. We took some pictures to show my wife and started looking for our tree. About a half hour into our search for our Christmas tree, pine cones started being tossed at us from the depths of the woods. Startled, my son and I just knew that this had to be Bigfoot. We were not scared. The cones can't hurt us, and they all fell just about 4 or 5 feet in front of us. This went on for about 5 minutes. Then it stopped. Jake and I continued on, looking for our tree to cut down. We were excited about getting our tree and even more excited to get back and tell Brenda what we had experienced. We found our tree, cut it down, loaded it on our trailer, and just before starting the Yamaha sled, a very loud and thunderous whoop was blasted out from the forest. We didn't start the snowmobile. We waited a few moments to listen for another whoop. Nothing more could be heard, and we started back to the ranch. I immediately told Brenda, and she shared in the excitement that exuded from Jake and I. We calmed down a little bit, and we prepared dinner. Later in the evening, around 8 p.m., the moon was high, and it was bright, and the snow glistened upon the ground. Our family was sitting around our fireplace and admiring our brand new Christmas tree. Brenda said, "Honey and Jake, you have outdone yourselves on this tree." Almost immediately after Brenda praised our accomplishment, we heard a very loud whoop from outside our home. Whoop. We sat and we listened. Then another whoop. Then another, and another, and another. There were about 5 whoops. They all had very different tones. The thing about these vocalizations is that one sounded just like the earlier one Jake and I had heard. The second was not quite as thunderous, perhaps a bit softer, if that makes sense. There was also a third. The third sounded not nearly as deep. It had no boom or no bass to it, is the best way I can describe it. Jake said, "Dad, it makes sense. We saw 3 different sets of tracks earlier, suggesting that maybe we had a family of Sasquatch just outside our house." We all ran to our large picture window that faced the wood line. We could hear the whoops, but we could not see anything. The moon did light up the snow, but still it was too dark to see. Then suddenly my son said, "Dad, look." He pointed to my wife and I as to where to look outside the window. There we saw an amazing sight. Standing outside of the tree line, there was 3 sets of glowing green eyes that were blinking. The moon cast a shadow of 3 figures, all ranging from really tall to about a foot or so shorter, and to one that was half the size. So now there's 3 shadows, all 3 different sizes that they can see from the woods. They can see green blinking eyes, everybody. Pretty cool. They go on to say, this I do believe was a family of Bigfoot. I am guessing a male, a female, and a juvenile. Putting a height on the Sasquatch, I would estimate the tallest at maybe 9 feet, the second one perhaps 8 feet, and the smaller one rounding out to be maybe about 5 feet tall. We all had gazed in amazement. I did not even think to grab a camera. Then, suddenly, the green eyes disappeared, and you could just barely see the shadowy figures disappear back into the tree line. Again, this took place in 2020. Certainly, we still own our ranch in Estes, Colorado, and despite never having a visual of these Sasquatch, we from time to time over the past 3 years still hear the whoops. We hear them in the distance. We all know that Bigfoot are close, and we all are still waiting for our first visual. I am sure one day that we will get this experience. Thank you, Rob, for allowing this to be read on your show. Signed, Roger. Well, Roger, that was a great story. I hope you all enjoyed it. Nice and calming. A family of Bigfoot in Colorado. Sounds like the guy's got a fabulous place. I'd love to be out there and check that out, wouldn't you? Again, subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob on YouTube. You guys have a fabulous Friday, a great Easter. I will see you next Tuesday on Beyond BMR with Sarah Bignell. Sarah does for Australia. Yes, she's from Australia, Yowie Central. She is like the Sasquatch Chronicles queen, like West Germer does for us here in the States. Check it out, Tuesday at 9 East. Again, have a great holiday. Love each and every single one of you. And don't forget, the Super Share is open if you care. Have a great day.
That's Bigfoot Michigan Rob bringing us our Bigfoot story of the week. I really hope you enjoyed that little clip of Bigfoot Michigan Rob. I put his link in the chat. Be sure to join his channel and check out all his stuff firsthand, because Bigfoot Michigan Rob, well, he's the man. Now check this out. It's a special, never seen before.
Maybe I'll have my own punk singer documentary coming out. That's a deep bikini kill cut for you. Does this work out? Because you're a lot taller than this. Your penis missing?
And be sure to drop your links in the chat.
Bouncing ball capabilities, but that's the true spirit of this movie. The laser might have freaked out as a big cast.
This is from the Bigfoot Festival. I hope you enjoy it.
Let's hear it again for Bobcat, the casted, and the producer, DC. Next song is a tribute to Bob Gimlin, who's a friend of ours, and
And that's the legend. Big Dream. As he throws out some Bigfoot tunes. Hey, the Wolfman Dan is about 7 mixed drinks in. The show's winding down. I'm going to play a clip from my friend Connor over at Bigfoot and Nine. This is his latest video that he's come out with. I hope everybody gives him a subscribe. I dropped his link in the chat. Once again, he's one of the few people that gives me permission to play his stuff here on YouTube.
Dogs walking up the trail ahead of me. And all of a sudden, I got dizzy.
Hold on 1 second, and I'll have that powered up.
Had a very long and vivid encounter. Watched and observed it for close to 20
Check
minutes.
this out.
This occurred while hiking
If
the
I can get it
Pacific
straightened
Crest
out.
Trail near Lake Tahoe, California, at an elevation just
That looks
under
good,
8,000 feet. This
Wow.
beast was massive.
I might be drunk.
Georgia Highway 25, about 2 a.m., a family of white ones were eating a deer on the side of the road I was traveling on, with the father standing in the ditch watching over them. And he was about 10 feet tall standing in the ditch. I was literally a few feet away from them when I passed them. I saw 2 UFO over Columbia, South Carolina at 4 o'clock a.m. on Highway 77 and 26, doing zigzags and 90-degree angles at crazy speeds back in 2011. So I'm sitting here and I just heard this huge roar outside of my window. I'm in Morristown, Tennessee. I'm also in a residential neighborhood. I'm pretty sure there's Bigfoot around here, and hearing that just confirmed. It kind of sounded like a lion roar, but louder. I heard howling and growling, yes, both, back in the woods at home in Ohio. I don't effing know what it was, but it wanted to eat me, and it was dark, so I thought it was the end of my life there. I heard one roar when I was 22 years old, made an African lion sound like a pussycat, and I lived about 30 miles out in the country here in West Virginia. There was one time I was on a 3-day solo backpacking trip and decided to get an early start and leave camp at 5 a.m. So it was still dark and I was walking past another trail that led somewhere else in the forest. I heard something say, "Hey, come here." Whatever said it was just chilling in the dark with no light source. I stopped and was going to check if someone needed help. Then they said, "Come here, come here, come here," in a really weird tone of voice. I can't explain after that. I changed my mind and started to walk away. They screamed really loudly. I said, "Come here, effing right now." And at that point, I started rushing down the trail. Till sunrise, I kept hearing the same voice telling me to come here along the tree line. Somewhere was the only time I thought I might need to generally use my pistol. Yesterday, I was out riding with some friends, and one of their quads shut off randomly. And I didn't think anything of it, so I was just told to continue up the trail. After going a little bit up, I noticed a deer running on the trail. Then I turn my head straight, and I see a small, bald head poke around a tree, then disappear. It was about 3 feet tall and had very pale skin. I was so shaken by it, I immediately turned around and went to tell others. At first they thought I was just messing with them, until one of them turned around and yelled, "Oh my God, he's not joking. I just saw it run across the trail up there." Needless to say, we got on our quads and took off out of there. The trails are all grown in, so we didn't see a face, just the top of the bald head running faster than any human could. On our way out and home, we heard whistling and yelps. None of us stopped because we were scared out of our mind at that point. It continued for about 30 minutes after we got back to the house and then stopped suddenly. My friend said when he saw it, it went into a daze where everything was kind of slow motion. So he started piecing stuff together. My friend Robert said he heard something a few months ago on his way to work, walking to his car, and it took off fast, screaming through the same woods. We think it was the same thing we saw yesterday. We also came to a conclusion that the place we ride is very bad luck for us. Every quad or dirt bike we've taken down there has broke or gotten stuck at one point. Happened near Chester, West Virginia. Had a close encounter of one running outside my tent in Evergreen, Alabama. I was recently on a trail in Tennessee, and while I was walking, I saw a dark figure peeking between the trees to my left. It was solid black and kind of human size in height, with a broad upper body. I walked back to do a double take of where I saw it, but nothing was there. I got chased out of the woods by something while on my dirt bike at 13 years old. Never saw it though. I used to live right near the rainforest in Washington State. I think the Grassman and Bigfoot are one and the same. That's my opinion though. I know they are real. My father seen one and got casts in the prints, and there was hair in the cast, and it stunk to high heaven. Me and my wife saw Bigfoot on Route 60 in Virginia at the foot of the Appalachian. Bigfoot 2011, early November, 10 p.m. Full moon light, 9 miles past Wyden, coming towards Clay. I heard vocalizations and wood knocks, SWVA, and Western North Carolina. I live in Northeast Tennessee and heard a baby crying out in our woods. I was getting my boots on to go investigate, and the last cry had a cat sound toward the end. I did not go investigate, but later saw the biggest darn black cat ever on a fallen tree. I'm thinking it was possibly a panther. I moved here in a small town in North Carolina mountains and was told by the neighbors what the tradition regarding the Sasquatch were. Simple trading of apples in a spot they made, and that's all I'm about to say about it. Cherokee little people, they're as real as you and I. My wife keeps putting apples out for them. My sister-in-law spotted one late spring where we are located in West Virginia. She's not one to mess around or easily be shaken, and she was very unnerved by the sighting. Our neighbor is a federal game warden, and he says black panthers aren't in the area, but I believe her, and she believes what she saw. My dad and grandpa grew up in Greenbrier, and they told me many stories about Black Panther encounters. People said they're not here. That's a chocolate cougar. I believe my dad and grandpa. My son even encountered one camping one time when he was younger. I live in Yancey County and remember hearing my grandparents tell stories of Black Panther in the area when they was younger. I've experienced a mountain lion, cougar, twice. Mountain lions are considered non-existent around here, but are legally protected. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? My friend and I both saw something on the side of the highway in Tennessee during a road trip. It was a titan in the snow. I'm in Ohio, and I swear I saw one a dozen years back. At night, and I was sober, I drove back roads home in the ditch, walked this biggest black cat I ever seen. Easily 3 to 4 times size regular cat. It took off, so I couldn't check it out. There are definitely black panthers in these mountains. My husband saw one about 2 years ago, and I know many others have seen him. We live in North Carolina mountains bordering Tennessee. We seen a skunk ape hiding from our truck in the woods when I was little and came upon a nest last year in my mom's house. Blue Ridge Parkway, Virginia. Walking on a short trail, walked through a very cold spot on a sunny day. I couldn't explain it. It was the weirdest thing. When my mom was a child in North Idaho, she and her brother were playing in the woods when it all went quiet and creepy. They sat on a rock and listened to a strange whistling sound circle them in the air a ways out, but they never saw anything. The dogs laid as flat on their bellies as they could, with their teeth as bared to their lips could wrinkle away from them. Their eyes were rolled skyward, and they were shaking uncontrollably. The kids waited until the whistling got behind them and ran for home. The dogs beat them back and refused to go out the rest of the day. Mom always wondered if it could have been a thunderbird or pterodactyl.
That's my friend Connor over at Bigfoot Anon. You will find his link in the chat. Be sure to check out my friend Connor. He's one of the few people that actually lets me use his stuff from YouTube. So I guess it's getting close to the end. I'm going to finish out tonight playing some classic Bigfoot tunes and maybe a surprise at the end.
Hey, I'm Skinny Steve. This is my submission for the Gems in the Rough 2021.
This is one of my
This is the
favorites.
Sasquatch song. Well, in the mountains of Arkansas, that's where I go to break the law. Just trying to grow my mountain weed. When I get out in that trail, I get caught up in that smell. Looks like I'm here to stay for good. But wait a second, what's that there? Holy fuck, I think it's a bear. Nope, it's definitely not a bear. Well, his eyes are red and sit real low. Holy shit, man, I think he's stoned. He ate damn near all the weed. Well, that's the way it's gonna be. Me and Sasquatch in the trees, smoking pipe, trying not to laugh. Well, it's hard to believe in fairy tales and fantasies, but Sasquatch, you are my friend. Well, it's 10 foot 10 with dark red hair, and he doesn't really have a care. His foot is twice the size of mine. Well, we don't really talk, we just hang out by the river when we're catching trout. He doesn't even need a boat. Well, that's the way it's gonna be. Me and Sasquatch in the trees, smoking pipe, trying not to laugh. Well, it's hard to believe in fairy tales and fantasies. Sasquatch, you are my friend. Well, when his eye comes down, he gets real low. That's when he eats a couple of toes to soothe all those sassy needs. And he's got a lot of really weird shit, like a sack of lizards in a possum pit, and a tree that's full of shoes. That's the way it's gonna be. Me and Sasquatch in the trees, smoking pipe, trying not to laugh. Well, it's hard to believe in fairy tales and fantasies. Sasquatch, you are my friend. Well, in the mountains of Arkansas, that's where I go to break the law. Just trying to grow my mountain weed. Well, I'm friends with an 8 that's 10 foot tall, and I don't even have to call. He's always there, smoking me.
I hope you enjoyed that. As we're closing down the night here the Witching Hour. And I'm going to play you a song you're going to hate. But I think it's funny. And it's just a great way to close a show. And, well, you'll get it in a minute, right, guys? You'll get it in a minute. Because I'm looking at a freaking hamburger.
Within the pines of Allegheny, on the shady mountainside, I was strumming on my sixth string, and I planned. I was putting back a six-pack, and I was howling at the moon. It was a lonely night, I brought plenty of shine, but when the beers were through, well, I was feeling pretty tipsy, and the night became a blur. When I woke up in the morning from my own damn snoring in my bed was a bunch of birds. Well, I think I slept with Bigfoot, but I'm going off a bunch of hair. And I also got a photo, but the picture's not all that clear. Can't explain why I was naked. Where's my pants and where's my shirt? There's a print the size of a frying pan beside a bottle in the dirt. I'll tell you what, I got this itch on my butt. You can take it for what it's worth. Well, I think I slept with Bigfoot. My backside's just a shirt. Though it don't make sense, I lack the evidence. Please, oh please don't laugh. I know just what you're thinking. This drunk's just full of crap. In the pines of Allegheny, on the shady mountainside, I swear that there's a Bigfoot, and I slept with one as I implied.
What'd you think about that one, YouTube? That's one of them songs. That's one of those songs that makes you think, ain't it? I really enjoy that classic stuff right there, buddy. And if I can actually find it, you know, I'm looking for it. I'm searching. I'm searching for the theme song. Yeah, it's that time of the night. I want to thank everybody for joining me here on the Daddy Dan blog for the Wolfman Dan Show. The Witching Hour. Be sure to join me Saturday night for 13 o'clock live. And hey, here's a special treat for you. Shish, don't tell nobody. But Thursday night, sometime around midnight, I'm going to go on the Danny Staten channel and bring back Night Flights, where I'll be showing some classic old TV shows from the 70s. Be sure to check that out. And thanks for coming. Be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that stupid little bell.
Now in South Carolina, way down yonder, there's a big old critter that likes to wander around my backyard sometimes late at night. Well, it ain't no beaver, bobcat, or bear, 'cause he's 8 foot tall and covered in hair, and the first time I seen him, he gave me quite a fright. Well, he eats from my garden and pees in my grass, and he stings like a skunk mixed with grizzly bear ass, and he scares my cats when they smell him come around. Well, he spends his time peeking around trees, and he thinks what he wants, and he does what he pleases, like scratching his butt and making a grunting sound. Sasquatch, Sasquatch, knocking on the trees, chucking rocks and screaming like a troop of chimpanzees. Sasquatch, Sasquatch, running around my place. Are you the missing link, or are you from outer space? Now you may wonder, what does a Sasquatch do when he's wandering around at 1:45 in the middle of the night because he's feeling down? Well, he comes on over to visit my house. I think he has a little thing for my spouse, 'cause she always feels like someone is around. Well, he looks in the windows and checks out my wife. Can't say as I blame him. She looks pretty nice in a fuzzy robe as green as the foam of the sea. Well, he stands and he blinks as he ponders and thinks about humans and love, and she
smiles so sweet, he wonders what the heck she sees in me. Sasquatch, Sasquatch, stop looking in my windows. I think it's kinda creepy, voyeuristic weirdo. Sasquatch, Sasquatch, keep your big paws to yourself. Ain't you got a lady Sasquatch to raise your Sasquatch will?
Thanks for coming, everybody. Be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell, and be sure to join me Thursday night on the Danny Staten channel for Night Flights. That link is in the chat.